If that be the case, then I will move on to our speaker, and thank you for your patience, Steve.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I'm going to introduce you first.
Excellent.
I think on webinars for BIMBY, which are Butterflies in My Backyard, which is a group of butterfly enthusiasts who work with the David Suzuki Foundation and get everything up on iNaturalist so they can track the distribution of butterflies. They started with British Columbia, I believe, and now they're doing it Canada-wide. Anyway, Steve Ansell, an avid naturalist, will speak on his fascination for nature that started with our native butterflies. His photographs will take you on a field trip crisscrossing the province, highlighting the beautiful diversity of butterflies. Steve grew up chasing butterflies and birds around Vancouver and Victoria. Since discovering iNaturalist in 2020, his interest increased again with completing the BC butterfly list. His presentation will give you an overview of some of his favorite locations around BC for seeing butterflies. Steve has identified and this is amazing, Steve, has identified over 70,000 photographs on iNaturalist for others. In 2022 alone, he identified 1/3 of over 9,000 butterflies posted for the David Suzuki Butterfly BIMBY project. So with no more ado, Steve, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lee, for inviting me. Yeah, a bit of background. I met Lee through her native plant sale. When we moved into a house in Burnaby, decided I wanted to have some plants and attract butterflies to my yard. And came out to her place once, and she wasn't there. She was out. I had Dennis touring me around the garden. Admittedly, he didn't know some of the plants, and at the end, we were talking about butterflies, and I discovered his love of butterflies as well. And we did a trip up to Lytton, and that really sparked me getting back into it. Having young children, getting them into hiking and all that. It's fun to start getting out and covering more miles. And with iNat, I discovered other people and the shared hobby and things I could learn from as well. I've been doing it sort of in a bubble prior to that. So I figured I would just share a few locations around the province, sort of starting close to where everyone is here. So hopefully it's things you can see and show you things a little further afield. So the photo up there is from the Air River Hot Springs up in the north. I was trying to get a picture of it, and it was one of the hardest butterflies to get a picture of because you can't aim the camera when it's sitting on your face. And then the rest of them here are actually all in my garden. Some of the plants, I don't know if they were yours, Lee, or from other places, but the flowers do bring in the butterflies. Okay, so this just gives an overview of where some of the sites are. So you can see from here to Soyuz, sort of the area I'm focusing is on. It's within a day trip or a weekend trip distance from here. And a few all the way to the far north, little hollow circles are the ones I'll just touch on briefly, and each of the others I'll have a page. And yeah, this was a couple of summers ago. I do not recommend taking a two-wheel drive vehicle up Pink Mountain, but it's a famous butterfly place. I'd been up there when I was a child and hadn't been back in 30 years. The front bumper was a little loose after that, but it's a little stressful to top. I didn't want to spend too long because I was worried about getting back down, and it rained before, the road was slick, and a couple of cross stitches were a little too deep for that, but be heading back there this summer in a better vehicle. Okay, so starting close to home, I presume most of you have heard of Elk Mountain. Trail very close to here, and yeah, beautiful access. You can see where I've circled there. There's a little meadow at the top of the trail, so maybe a couple-hour hike, depending on your speed going up there, of course. But the butterflies are in the ridge at the top, the little subalpine meadow. As many species, blues, Parnassians, things that you won't find down at lower elevation. Should I use the mic? What's that? Oh, you got people coming in? Okay. How many people here have ever been up Elk Mountain? Cool, cool. How many people have ever seen a butterfly up there? Sounds good. Yeah, the camera with a big lens, of course, is essential for getting close-ups like that. Most of those pictures are going to be taken at the distance, to the computer or partway across the room. And then these days I used to use binoculars for them, and then it was something good, then try to get the camera. Now I just take the picture with the camera, figure it all out later, upload it on iNat. So it doesn't count if I didn't get the picture anymore. And the second site I'll cover, I was talking with Dennis, one of his favorites, of course, the Silver Skagit Road. It was closed for several of the last years after the big floods of 2021 or thereabouts, was it? I forget. Anyway, it was a few years ago after the rainstorm that took out the Coquihalla and everything else. It took out that road as well. Last year, I think they reopened it partially with a few little detours to get around, and I think you can drive all the way in there again.
They just opened today.
Oh, for the season this year?
Yeah.
What's the condition like now? It's drivable all the way to Ross Lake, is it?
There's a lot of ruts and bumps and a lot of road work still going on.
Okay, that's nice that they finally restored it. Obviously, the main highways were first on their priority list, but they get to the part.
Where's the Beckers from right now with the lake?
Yeah, so the two pictures on the right there, I put those up, grabbed them from Eric on iNat, but yeah, two unique records west of the. No, that's the first I'd ever heard of. He had that photo and Lupin, formerly Ackman Blue, they're both right at Silver Lake. So there's still stuff to be discovered if Dennis hasn't seen it there.
What are those things in the middle?
The bottom center is Compton Tortoiseshell. So the first time I ever went up there was with a friend that loved mountain biking. So we parked just at the top of the hill after Silver Lake and biked the entire way. That was quite a slog coming back up at the end of the day, but it was just a great year for commas and tortoiseshells that year. It was just hundreds of them.
You're like that, just hundreds.
All the way along.
Fantastic.
And the top one is the Oriole. That's one that one of the hardest butterflies to find in the province. That they are scattered around. And a number of people have seen them on iNat, surprisingly, of non-enthusiasts that have stumbled across one or two, but they're never common. You only find one here, one there, and then I just chance across the first one that I got a photo on that road. And then close to Dennis's heart, we got the Perkins dusty wing there as well. Yeah, the habitat on that road, the first reason I was going there was to see the rhododendrons, which are sort of at the midway point where you see the big valley crosses over there to the highway at Manning Park. And just park there and just walk sections of the road. And then as you get closer to Ross Lake, there's a few little trails, Whitworth Meadows and things like that. They're not well signposted. You got to kind of do your homework before you go and know where to pull off and see them. But it's a unique habitat on the west side of the mountains primarily, but there's a rows upon rows of pines that were preserved there from logging previously. And same thing, a few butterflies that you'd expect on the east side are found on this side of the mountains.
Do you have a favorite spot there in the Skagit?
It's one of those things you could drive the whole road and really see nothing. You just have to stop at just the right places, but it's such a big area. You just roll the dice, pull over anywhere. Although the first day I did that, I also ended up with a flat tire pulling off. And so I sharp shale on the side. So that reminds me, I'd always wanted to do the Dempster Highway. So I figured my dad would want to do it. I was looking into it more recently. But the advice is stay in the middle of the road. If you go on the side, you'll get a flat tire and all the sharp rock. And that's why I would want to go, is to stop every 5 minutes all the way along the road. So I've put that off and decided that might not be the best idea. So the next one, Manning Park, of course, you could drive the paved highway to the top there. And then two very different areas, depending on the season. Earlier in the summer, Strawberry Flats, Gibson Pass Road, you could drive into the Strawberry Flats parking lot. And there's butterflies down in the meadows there, but even just walking the road the rest of the way to the ski area, the little wet ditch along there, just absolutely full of butterflies. No traffic because that part of the road is gated in the summer. And full of things, Annis swallowtails, lots of fritillaries, coppers, blues, other things I don't have there. Hoffman's checker spot is one of the unique ones, just barely makes it into BC in the bottom right there. And
Only place it occurs.
yeah, and the Sonoran skipper as well, one that Dennis had mentioned to me years ago that I never got a chance to chase. It's up on the Alpine Road, and then someone reported it at Lightning Lake as well. So I got to see my first for the province there a few years ago. But yeah, that one you should get into middle of July or depending on the snow melt up to the Alpine Meadows Trail and the Heather Trail. The meadows there, one of the easiest alpine accesses in the province, of course. You can drive up to tree line. And checker spots, one year I was up there, there were just so many of them. They were unfortunately dead on the trail. Hikers were stepping on, which tells you how common they were, because it's going to be pretty rare to step on a butterfly, but there were just hundreds and hundreds of thousands. You got Bittler's alpine in the top left, Mormon fritillary in the middle, or sort of the typical species for that area. So the next area I've got on there is Princeton, and this is one I sort of learned more detail about just in the last couple of years through INAT. I've always had a fascination with the green colored hair streaks as a child. I'd never seen one. Sheridan's hair streak is this one, and there's a second one as well. But there was a report a couple of years ago up in Princeton in the early spring. So went up there to look for it, took my bike and my daughter, we'll just bike the section of the Kettle Valley Trail and see if we come across it, and saw a couple other people bird watching and stopped to say hi, asked if they'd seen any butterflies, and turned out I'd run into Sue, a woman at the frontier, and she was the one that had reported it. So you go to Princeton, you meet the person that did it, saw the butterfly. So,
Read the name of the green one.
Sheridan's hair streak.
Sheridan's, thank you.
Kettle Valley, I got it, where she used to live.
What's that say?
I got it, a number from Kettle Valley.
Oh, cool. Which part of the valley?
Not that far in, when you come in from.
From the Princeton side? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's those lakes, those first lakes, there's some bird areas and,
Exactly. Separation lakes.
yeah, I don't remember which lake it was. Just remember what it looks like there. And there's lots of bluebirds and stuff in the area.
Yeah.
Beautiful valley, I love it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area all the way along the trail there, and then the little nature sanctuary, Swan Lake there. It's a really good place. Dozens of them found there. April and May, and then they're gone for the year. One of the first species in the spring to fly any warm day. But yeah, the picture there, I've got Shirley at the back with the lads and Sue. They both live Princeton, Colmount area. They've just so many butterfly sightings on INAT. If anyone else wants to learn their butterflies and help ID and confirm all their INAT ones, that'll save me a lot of work. So we appreciate it. But it's just amazing to see everything that they found there. They're drawing them out there. And I did a day trip. John Reynolds is in the middle. If any of you met him or crossed paths, he's a well-known naturalist in BC. So we went up there to see them and have a tour. So you got the spring butterflies, the small ones. Late in the summer, you've got the wood nymphs in the bottom left. Fritillaries and commas are all abundant there, and dark one at the top is another Aureus. Second, and only other one I've ever seen was there. The top right is the Aureus comma. Yeah. I'll use the name comma and angling interchangeably. I've still settled my old books.
Yeah, that's one thing I was wondering, which books do you use?
I've tried to use the INAT names now.
Oh, really?
I've got the picture one, the NABA guide is sort of the primary one I use. Butterflies of BC, of course, got these books.
Yeah, I tried to use that as a standard for myself.
Yeah.
Even though they could be all over the place. Different books.
And I have no idea how to pronounce any of the names of butterflies. If anyone's heard anything different, you're probably right. Just let me know.
Practical Latin one, but.
I won't even try those. And I guess that leads to the next thing. I'd always called it about Kobo. I've heard it also called Kobau. You know, Dennis, what the local pronunciation is? I heard a vote for Kobo, did I? Or-
Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to go up there and show these stars, just,
Yes.
yeah, cold.
That's what I always call it. So, yeah, I wasn't sure if I had it right or wrong or where I picked that up from, but yeah, so that's Richter Pass on Highway 3, just half an hour outside of the Soyuz.
No. It's not really all. Can't remember.
I'm thinking of let me know.
If you hadn't said something, I would.
I was gonna say I should just ask, pronounce this name with no introduction, they'll throw you off. But yeah, I think the history of that, they'd originally planned to build an observatory at the top, and that's why they made relatively good gravel road, 2 lanes, well graded. It's gonna have some ruts and stuff, but overall, it's a great gravel road. Takes you up out of the valley to the forest, and then above the forest into the sagebrush subalpine, which is a unique habitat to have a second tree line in BC. So the center picture there shows you the road just below the summit. So that's the summit. It's a very short walk through the road up to the top, and you'll have hilltopping butterflies there. If you go in the afternoon, there's a number of species, some of the swallowtails and whites, they'll all congregate on a warm hilltop. That's where they all find each other to mate and defend territory up there. So when you've got a giant mountain like that, head for the very summit. If it's not too cold and windy, you'll almost always find butterflies there.
Yeah, it's got a really strange on the top, it's got that sagebrush habitat,
Exactly.
that's high elevation. It's
Yeah.
different than the low elevations.
And then the picture in the bottom right is the same road, just at the very bottom. It's a little steep. Find a bunch of cattle hanging out there, but basically it's the only puddle on the side of the hill lower down. So if you time your day right, if it's a hot summer day, you stop to the bottom where it's warmed up first and work your way gradually up the road. And same with the seasons. In the spring, you'll start lower on the road and don't go to the top because it's still full of snow. But yeah, you can see different seasons, different species, all on that same road in the course of the day.
Overall, do the butterflies like the heat? So they're at the warmer parts of the day, like early morning would not be good.
No, they need warm sun.
Yeah.
Typically, this spring I find sort of 12 degrees is the minimum threshold. Getting up to 15, they start flying. But
Okay.
I actually like being out first thing in the morning, sort of 9:30 or so, because they haven't warmed up yet. So they'll be sitting and feeding on the flowers. So first thing in the morning is actually the best time to see them and photograph them if you know an area. And then late in the day, they just patrol. And all you're going to see is flying back and forth and back and forth, back and forth.
I know with the hair streak, the Happen hair streak,
Yep.
I was getting it early in the morning, and Dennis had read that you don't go out until, and I was getting lots early in that, and then as soon as he started going out in the morning, he was getting lots of them, and I got a juba in the Skagit, and they were only flying really early, like 8 o'clock or something, which typically 9 o'clock, 9 to 5 is your butterfly day for most, 90% of them.
Yep.
And so to get, it was the only time I ever got it was really early and only in one spot, only for a few years.
Yep. Yeah, they have a different time of day. They'll be doing their flower patch in the morning, patrolling their hilltop or other territory in the afternoon, and maybe somewhere else catch the evening sun. So yeah, you need the heat of the day, but all parts of the day, and as I say, mornings for seeing them in photography is definitely your sweet spot.
About Frosty, we had them all come up and they came up about 9, and there would be like hundreds of butterflies flying all around. Just after 10, nothing.
Vanish.
They just came to find a mate.
Yep. And then they're gone somewhere. They're still out there the rest of the day, but
To go down.
maybe they've scattered in the forest. They're looking for the host plants. So a lot of the butterflies will come out into the sunny meadows to find each other to get nectar. But their host plants, the fertile areas of things, are violets. So they'll be growing in the forest in the shade. And yeah, some of those butterflies will just disappear quietly into places you won't see them as easily. And the top right also shows the habitats up there. As you sort of see in there, the middle area is forest. So there were a couple of big fires in the last 5-10 years up there, which has turned some of that back into grasslands and meadows. And part of the natural succession cycle, that's very positive for butterflies to open up the bushy habitats.
It's one interesting or cow path or whatever it can be. One time Ashley and I were there just to like look at stars.
Yep.
Long before we got to looking at birds and whatnot. But we ran into a UBCO scientist actually just all dressed up with a net. And then apparently Mount Kova is such a rare bee spot that it has a bee variety unlike anywhere else in the province. So it's just, I don't know, interesting sub fact for people who like bees, I guess. Apparently it's an insane density with different species.
I give you something else to look at next time I'm there. That is
Like really, really compared, which is not good. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a picture of one bumblebee from up in the Arctic. That's I just took a picture of this northern BC because thought I had a picture and someone on INAT IDs it. Oh, man, it's a rare one for the province. Oh,
Wow.
okay, cool. I guess it makes sense that they're looking for butterflies that are unique to the province. It's the only place they found. Bees are going to be you could have the same ones, the same different niches. Okay, and then sort of the last area on this part of the road is the Soyuz, and one of the neat places there actually didn't discover until more recently the Think Desert Cultural Center. Paid admission to go into the trails there, but well worth supporting that the habitat's been preserved there. But there's two unique species there. The Bear's hair streak, it's at the very edge of its range in BC, just comes into the sagebrush there, and I found them common the time we were there. Dozens of them, but very few sites in the province you can see them. And then California hair streak as well. Looks very similar to another species, the sylvan, but this one has a bit more orange on it. So both of those ones are there late spring, early summer, I think it is. And if you want to find any of these and look this up later, just search on INAT, grab the area, draw a rectangle, search butterflies, and show you the species. You'll find every single one of these pictures. That's how I quickly did this presentation, was just searching my own photos and a few other people's where I've noted them. And I think the last time I was there, I saw some ferns just off the trail there. One step, two step, take a picture, look a step back, and my leg's covered in a couple of ticks. Always good to stay on the trail. Okay, so heading a different direction now. Blowdown Pass. This is something I'd heard of from a friend years ago. But this is Highway 99, so sea to sky, through Whistler, through Pemberton, and then on your way up and over to Lillooet. And I guess I'd never been there because I had a Prius. It wasn't so good on gravel roads. But now that I had a vehicle that could get up there, you can sort of see the dots on the map where you leave the highway, you drive. I'd say half an hour. It took me about an hour and a half. I stopped at every sunny patch to look at butterflies along the drive, and I didn't have as much time as I wanted on the summit. But from there, it's a short walk. The road that you're driving is the top right there, so single track, but good condition. And then the bottom right, I did see a truck at the top there, but park and walk the last couple of kilometers. That part, there's huge ditches that I'm maintaining from there, but within an hour or two, before you parked, you're walking through that beautiful alpine slope. Two new butterflies I got there that day. The bottom left of the ones is the rock slide checker spot. That's alpine specialist on the dry side of the mountain. So it's found around the Lillooet area. I think there might be a few in the Rockies as well, but it's one I never found. And then the other one is the Astart fritillary. That was just sitting on the alpine ridge, had its wings closed, didn't move, got a couple of pictures, and then opens its wings, jumps up, wind picks it up, gone off the ridge, hundreds of miles away, never going to see it again. But had a good look, and the most Arctics I've ever seen, those are the upper two ones, Scepter and Wright. Most Arctics are the dark ones there. Difficult to get close to, but they just fly around the ridge. So they're alpine specialists. So the up on ridge dress was getting quite windy that day, so they're all just tucked over on the shelter side. But that's their home up on those ridges. Basically, I went to the pass where the flowers are in the middle there, and then up the ridge to the left, and there's more areas to explore over to the right, and then just along this ridge, it's a relatively easy walk. And the last one up there, the lustrous copper, it's another alpine specialist, but beautiful area. I'm sure all of those mountains have all the same butterflies, but most of those areas aren't very easy to access. A few that we can drive closer to gives a sampling of what they're like. And I threw this one in for fun. We were going up to the Peace River a couple of years ago, looking for all the northern species that don't occur near here. And as you're driving along the highway up just an hour outside of Cache Creek, so not all that far yet, but there's that little rock in the middle of the plateau. Looks like nothing, but there's a fire lookout there. It's a little parking lot. It's a 15-minute walk to the top, but I got 3 new species there for my BC list that I just hadn't been any further north, so that's the beginning of where you can see the sort of northern forest species. You got the white admiral, gray comma, and Karen's Arctic, if I was remembering correctly. Hey, how are you? Good. Yeah, once you get past there, then the habitat for the rest of the province sort of flattens out. Got all these beautiful valleys, and alpine and desert in the south. Once you get up to the Caribou Chakotay, there's a lot of endless forests that are very similar habitats, so not as much diversity anymore. You've got all these unique species, but they're just everywhere up there, and that's sort of the closest taste of it. And then the last one I want to highlight was Pink Mountain. So it's a provincial park, a very small one, and no signposts advertising it or anything. It's not a maintained road. The park itself is just sort of on the side of the mountain. I forget where how it was created. A lot of the area around there is now being used for wind farms and other things, but it gives you access to a alpine ridge up at the north. It's not that high. The town of Pink Mountain is halfway between Fort St. John and Fort Nelson along the highway, and then it's an hour gravel road. As I say, beginning a few of ditches along that road that'll take out a small car. But Alaskan swallowtail is the one pictured there. Its taxonomy's gone through a few changes of what's considered a subspecies of, but I think it's split into bears now, and the Oregon is a subspecies of that. But anyway, it's related to the one that's found across Europe and Asia, more so than the North American one. Then you got some unique sulfurs up there, and quite a collection of different fritillaries as well. And the road goes right to the top of the mountain.
Do you know what that fritillary is?
Dingy fritillary.
Never seen that one.
Feeding on bear food, presumably. And there's my daughter. They love. They see the butterfly. I get the picture, but the first thing is, can I go get it now? And they'll come up very carefully, and they'll put their finger next to it, and if they're sweaty enough, they'll crawl on their finger, and then they transfer it, and have some fun, put it on their face. Different appeals for different ages. The first picture was the same thing. They put that on my face. It didn't actually land there. But once it was there, then I couldn't get it. So a lot of the butterflies are very approachable. You'll see the ones that are flying, as I say, try to get pictures, and they're never stopping. But especially the smaller fritillaries and the blues, they're feeding on minerals. They're getting their moisture, salts, and different things, and they will be quite attractive to your fingers. The commas as well, they'll come in. Those ones will land on your legs when you're hiking. Good and sweaty, they enjoy a nice treat of some salts and a drink on you. But yeah, that gives a good overview of the province and different places to go there. And then last slide, I just have a couple of notes, no more pictures, just a few other highlights that I didn't include here. Not quite in BC, but if you're going through the Banff Jasper area, the gondola takes you up to the top of Jasper. Beautiful habitat. There, you can walk the trail to the summit, and then there's actually a little saddle that goes down into unmarked trail from there, and the little subalpine basin there is amazing species that you won't see anywhere else. One neat place I discovered this past year as well was Atlin. That's in the very far northwest corner of BC. We flew up to Whitehorse. Highly recommend Air North. An easy 2.5-hour flight from Vancouver takes you straight to Whitehorse, and then from there it's only a 2-hour drive back to Skagway, Alaska, over to Haines Junction Road, and Atlin. We were staying at a Airbnb house in Whitehorse, and it was across the road in the morning. A woman was tending to the little allotment garden. We were just chatting, and she mentioned she was going back to Atlin that weekend to go boating. And oh, okay, I didn't know people ever went there or that was even a place, but apparently that's where the people from Whitehorse go on vacation is. Back into a dead end road in BC. It's a beautiful green park on a massive lake, alpine mountains and stuff across there. So this houseboat, it's the Shuswap. Basically, there's one place for the houseboat, and or bring your own boat. But neat area there, and then there's a gravel road goes up to a place called Surprise Mountain, a volcano area with unique alpine species there. Lytton, I have to put that in, then went up the Botany Valleys, it's pronounced. We went.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you need First Nations permission to go into there, and just a week and a half ago, I was also up Spence's Bridge area. Desert marble was a species I'd never seen in the province. The last one in the southwest corner that I could chase, and I managed to see a few of those. So up through the Fraser Canyon and splitting into Thompson Canyon's a beautiful area as well. And then last but not least, Victoria. That's where I lived for, like, I moved over there when I was high school age. So went to UVic, all the Gary Oak meadows. Beautiful diversity of species, the orange tips, blues, and everything there, which you don't get to see many other places in the province. So, a little bit of a commute with the ferry. I can get to the Okanagan faster from Vancouver than I can get to Victoria by the time I wait for the ferry, but I did a lot of on the ferry as a student, visiting friends and family back and forth. Got a little tired of that for a while, but enjoyed it again now. So. Anyway, with that, gives everyone some ideas of places to go.
And we've done trips to the Botany Valley a few times, been years. But I did one with a company I worked for when we had a holiday, and I think we got over 40 species that day.
Okay, so that's all I had. That's the map again, just to refresh your memory of the places we were looking there. So centered around here, the Jasper Gondola in the middle, and Pink Mountain's the one up on the right. Basically, the part that's geographically more Alberta than BC, up in the piece on the east side of the Rockies there. Any questions or any
Yeah, I was
other
gonna
butterfly
ask,
things
any
people?
questions for Steve? Any questions?
I wonder who that.
I think it's called puddling when the butterflies, gather around water. Can you explain what they're doing?
Both moisture and often minerals. Yeah, up in I guess it was Castle summers ago, and there's a puddle just on the edge of the rail yard, and if you swallow the alcohol.
Yeah,
Wow, there it's beautiful to see, and they're always very approaching. When
Yeah.
they're like that. And often that maybe depends on the time of day, but yeah, the heat of the afternoon, they'll often come in to get the moisture in places that are otherwise dry.
How many species do we actually have in the Fraser Valley, do you know?
I don't I can check online.
Valley to
Find out how
that
many
one's
are there.
55 or so.
I am curious. Let's see if we've got internet access here. That was my other plan. Instead of doing a presentation, was just have IDAT open and just ad hoc search and scroll things.
You could even give us a little lesson on naturally.
Hey, we can combine them both in one go.
All that. I myself belong to Indians, and I'm struggling to get better at iNaturalist, but just anything you see in the field, if you put it up there, it's really useful to work on those citizens science pages, because it really improves the scientific knowledge that we have in this country. The more you put up on iNaturalist, the better. Now, some people have strong feelings about iNaturalist, like you can hide the location or whatever you see if you don't want other people to be talking around, like owls, especially if you put them up with a location you're liable to have the whole of the lower mainland with their long lenses coming out. But
and all of those are automatically hidden, so yeah, they protect the sensitive ones. Okay, I'm not sure if I'll hit any limitations, so I'm not logged in here, but let's just see. So what I've done here, I've opened iNaturalist.org. I've gone to explore and I've searched for butterflies. So this map's going to show you every butterfly that's ever been seen. Yeah, and then I'll use the little rectangle tool. I'll grab the North Shore. We'll include that in here, and I'll maybe end right around there. So I've just drawn a rectangle. It'll get some misses, but 64 species is what shows up there. So then once you click over to the species, it'll show you from most observed down. So, and I guess depending how you're logged in, it'll show names for different regions. So normally I would see cabbage white. It's using the European name of small white since we're not logged in here. And just because I'm curious, I'm going to scroll to the end of the list and see what shouldn't be there. So Blue copper, if I clip the one observation, I'm gonna guess that's up sort of Manning area. Oh no, that's from Chiam. Someone had one there. And I'm gonna say I don't think I necessarily agree with that observation, so I'll have to come back later when I'm logged in and add my identification to that. But to me, that looks probably like an Anna's blue. It's just the name cabbage white. They've used the European name because I'm not logged in to localize it right now. And yeah, other ones, Johnson's hair streak, it's one off, but I know that observer, so I'll vouch for that one. That was up near Seymour, one of my photos from a few years ago. This is one I took the picture and I just thought it was my first regular hair streak of the day, and it wasn't until I got home and downloaded the pictures that I realized what I'd seen. But yeah, I was gonna say, apart from that blue copper, Lower Seymour Conservation Reserve, Seymour Valley.
The specialist on
Yeah. So yeah, I'll answer the question. 63 species have been seen between Hope and the North Shore. And a tutorial of how everyone else can check those things. So yeah, I'll have to do this as a species I'm looking for. I'll search for it on here, go see what areas it's found in, what time of year. Even more so with plants, what I've done, maybe more so than butterflies. If I was looking for a really small fern called an adder's tongue down in San Diego. We were on a trip there a few weeks ago. The plant is about the size of my pinky thumb. But you're in this big field. I figured out where it is. I know it's here. I'm looking for something that small. So I get the field, I can't find it. So I pull out the app in my pocket. I search for all the photos of it. I'm looking for someone that has a zoomed out photo. So sometimes someone will have like a habitat photo, you might see a background. Now I've got the color of the dirt. So it's this green field, but these pictures typically are showing a bit of bare dirt and a few reddish rocks. So I'm looking around until I find it over that table. And then I'm like sitting down, crawling around in the dirt until I find the plant, and sure enough, there it was. So lots of strategies you could use on here. So if I find something of interest and I want other people to be able to find it or share that info, I'll often put that habitat photo so they can see it. Maybe you're not going to find the same plant or the same butterfly, but you get a feel for what area it's in. Yeah, ferns is the other thing I'm particularly interested in, as well as butterflies. You get a feel for habitats for both of them. You're going along on my way out here this afternoon. I left early, so I wouldn't have to risk traffic, and it was a beautiful afternoon. I went out to the Cultus area looking for orange tips that I'd heard had been reported in that area, and just the sort of shady area, a bit of green, a bit of sun. This feels right, and sure enough, one flew by. So you just maybe a lot of intangible things that you start recognizing habitats, and it's really great when you have such a source of information of other people's photos. They share a broader picture as well that gives you an idea of what areas attract what species.
So anybody who has a search engine, do they have to be a member of iNaturalist in order to go in and do what you did just now?
No, I just opened up not my computer here, so yeah, I'm not.
So you just iNaturalist.org.
Yeah.
And then could you walk them through those steps again slowly? Because
Sure
many
thing.
of us here are in our 70s and 80s, and computers are not as straightforward as they are to the young people.
Sure. So yeah, I just started typing iNaturalist. If that's too long, let's just try searching iNat. And your first result will take you there. And if you've got an account, you can go the sign in, sign up. But I just went explore, which takes you to the full website. And then what I did from there was I searched for butterflies here. So you can do butterflies or moths or just butterflies. And then I zoomed in on the Fraser Valley region. And let's do a different one this time just for fun. So we had about 63 species of, excuse me, I think it was here. Let's zoom in on Princeton. So I'm just, yeah, the little rectangle search icon. So I'm just going to draw a box sort of around Princeton from Tulameen up that area. And they've got 98 species in that small area there. So yeah, so I can click on species, and this will show me the species and the counts for each one from most common down to least common. So there I could click on the link with the observations. And I'm just opening a new tab here just so I don't lose it. You could also just search for green comma instead of butterflies to begin with. And then this shows me everywhere that they're been found there. And I can, just because I like the satellite, I'll switch it over to that view that I'm more familiar with. That'll highlight the record. So right now I've got them all showing on the right. So I can click on one of those and that'll show me where that dot was exactly. Who was it? This is Sue Elwell, I mentioned earlier, and that shows the set of pictures that she's uploaded there. You've also got accuracy there in case they weren't too certain on where it was. You have the date and time of the observation as well. So if I go,
Can you look to see if there's a metal mark in that area?
I sure can.
Okay. See the
Yeah, they've been found around the Karameus area a fair bit more recently, but not too far from there. Mormon metal mark is the one Dennis is asking about. Definitely an endangered species in the province. So a very narrow range there. Just wait for everything to load here. The bulk of the sightings are right at Karameus there. There's the old railway cuts. It's now a rail trail right below the intersection there. And you can see by the density of dots how many people have seen them there.
Is that night here?
Nighthawk area is just over this way. No one has recorded them in the Nighthawk area.
I think some of the first records.
I will have to go look for those. Yep.
I'm a member of Indiana.
Yep.
Will that get?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, no, I've been working through in the winters. Once I finish doing all my last year's stuff and labeling them and sorting them and identifying them, then I've been working through my old photos and uploading my whole collection. So it's nice to have. Yeah, so some of them sometimes there might be a week someone was on vacation and didn't see it. Someone may come and pick it up later. And you can always just tag someone on there. You can just put a comment of @Steve Ansell and that'll bring it to my attention. Or send an email or a note and then I can go and search for them. So I'll just backtrack a couple of tabs here. So this was the Princeton search. So yeah, we saw the observations, the 98 credible number species identifiers. And the other thing you could do is click on the observers over here. And I think by default, it's searching by observations. So of the 12,000 odd observations there, 8,000 are from Sue, 4,000 are from Shirley, and then a few of us have, 75 or something in comparison. They are out every day. No, they discovered this only a few years ago. She was just getting into it when she saw the hair streaks, and I met her by chance, and just take it off from there. They're out every day, and I see an incredible number. Well, they can see a lot in a day, yes. And if I search it, I can also sort by species. It'll turn out the same, but yeah, 94 species Sue has seen of the 98 in the Princeton area. So she's missed 4 somehow. And yeah, you could do this for any living species. Butterflies, plants, birds, everything is on there. Any part of the province, any part of the world. It's just absolutely amazing resource. And there's experts in each field that come and help out and identify stuff. And yeah, you may upload something and it gets ignored. That happens at times. I work through any ferns or butterflies for BC I have in my subscription. So if I don't miss them, I would. They haven't already got research grade. I will probably see them, and if I had enough energy, I'll try and ID them. Some of them I just go, sorry, that was blurry. I'm going to skip it. But for the most part, I see them all and help out with as many as I can, and try and keep my I feel guilty when I do a trip and upload a whole bunch of observations. So by doing the identifications, I try and balance that out and feel I'm contributing on both halves.
Any more questions for Steve?
Yeah, so like, when it comes like, butterfly identification, you have blues and like skippers, for example. I suppose like there's factors in those like subgroups that make them identifiable as a skipper or a blue. What type of book or like way would you go about like learning how to identify basic versus butterflies?
The butterflies of North America is we call the photo guide. It's the Swift guide by the North American Butterfly Association. It's a great field guide, just it's all photo centric. In honesty, now I guess most of my identification I'll find out of looking at other people's stuff. If I'm traveling, I don't worry so much about getting a field guide. For blues, for example, it's the underwing pattern that identifies them. So if you see the top, if it's just blue, don't bother. It's a blue, that's okay. But if it closes with wings, you get a picture from the bottom. If you upload that, I am absolutely blown away by the AI identification. And it's not going to be 100%, but call it, 80, 90%. It will get it if you've got a reasonably cropped picture that shows the detail. There's ones where you'll have a picture of a horse and it'll tell you coup. There's nothing in that picture. It's use the background, but if you cropped it up to a decent size like some of those pictures, it can tell all the subtle differences of the blues. And what you're going to do is you could just identify it as a blue. Take their top level suggestion like this. Don't know what type it was for sure, so I guess put it as that. But then you can use the compare button. I can just bring up an example of one of theirs just for fun. Metal mark's maybe not the best one to do that with, but green commas, and commas are another one where they're all very similar. But if I take someone's photo, so regardless of whether they had said, oh, I'm not logged in, I don't see it, unfortunately, but normally there'll be a compare button next to the observation, and then that'll only show you the ones found in that area. So it won't show you all the blues of the world. It'll just show you the ones that have been recorded in the Fraser Valley, whatever region you're in. And then you can see there's 4 suggestions. You can then go to the field guide or just click on each of those suggestions, open up, a dozen pictures for that species to see what looks like it matches to you. So I find that immensely valuable from traveling for areas I don't have books now that you can get a hint. It will get you in the right area. It will tell you the top ones. You can see what's actually seen in that area to know what's expected. And do your best from there, or just be conservative, identify its genus.
Yeah.
Wait for a local expert to come along.
So there's like varieties like commas other than green in this area, I presume.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 common ones that are all very similar. I used to have a very tough time until I went through and started identifying other people's pictures, and after doing thousands of them, most of them get easier. There's still 1 or 2 that are always just like halfway in between it, you're not sure. But again, the best way to practice your skills is to try identifying other people's.
What about this butterfly? I would let you know that it is a comma, even if you didn't know specific.
The commas are all sort of this orange, earthy colors like that. So general size and that set of colors, and then to identify the different ones, those gold spots in the hind wings. There's some subtle differences there. So the green comma that we're looking at there has the sort of yellow spots well contained in a wide dark band. Satyr comma, the spots would be more orange that match the rest of the wing color, they wouldn't contrast. And then the hoary comma, they'd be bigger, blurrier orange gold spots that blend into.
It's kind of like identifying birds. They're a lot smaller.
Yeah.
A lot harder to sit still and look.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, any other questions? In that case, I'm going to say thank you so very much for coming. Most interesting talk. I urge everybody here to go on iNaturalist and look at things and get hold of Steve if you've got questions. Dennis is also an expert in butterflies. He knows butterflies. We have another member in our club, Dennis St. John, and he used to do a lot of butterfly work. But I did phone him, but I only got his voice message to invite him to come. But I think that he and his wife is quite ill and he can't get over anymore. Anyway, so we have some people in the club who are really good at butterflying, and I suggest we go up to the Botanic Valley again at some point in the next little, the next while. Because we did do a trip up there maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago.
Was it great?
Yeah, but we have to get permission from the First Nation. I don't know if that's the,
Yeah, I don't know where to ask now, but which unfortunately isn't.
yeah, which First Nation is it? I think we can dig it out of our records. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. That's much.